Are my orcs a subspecies of my forest elves? Let's dive into the world lore where my mangas take place. And the truth of the situation is the orcs share not a single ancestor with the forest elves of my world. In fact, their closest ancestor is something you would see in D&D or in Warhammer. This is what their ancestors, the Orcans, looked like. And while some people were complaining my orcs weren't muscly enough, but the reality is they can gain muscle very quickly. And we can see that in almost every instance of a female orc that we see. Like, this is Luna. This is Haveline's raiding party leaders. You have Saranai, you have Travis, and then you have Haveline himself. Look how stacked Saranai is. Look how thick with the muscle she is. And that is the case for a lot of orcs. They may not naturally come out of the womb hulking up, but they tend to get a lot of muscle very, very quickly. And the reason that they look like this is because of evolution. But in order to explain how we got here, let's dive back into the history of my world. So back in the day, there was an Orcan named Grout. Obviously, back in the day, he would have been called an orc. And he was 8'9", and he was the closest thing to a god orcs had, and they said he was unkillable. He had thousands upon thousands of tribes. I mean, the size of his tribe is understated. Remember how this black landmass is 6.6 Texas's worth of landmass? Yeah, imagine taking all of the great clans of the Yashava Plains, and that would be the size of his army. But Grout had a problem, because Grout was a conqueror. He knew nothing but battle and conquest. A good battle was his breakfast. And he did this till he was the vulnerable age of 60, until he found a new challenge, a Fey Forest. And if you haven't noticed a trend yet, half-elves are no longer in existence because they played with the Fey. But Grout wanted to take the forest. He wanted to make it his own, but he had to get rid of the Moon Howler. Well, technically his name was Nash the Moon Caller. He was a great wolf. Grout being the unstoppable killing machine, he was looking at the rest of his army and said, wait here, I'm gonna do this myself. So he took off all of his armor and only went forward with his axe into the Fey Grove alone. And upon entering, Nash started howling. And the thing about Nash is his howls were deadly. And so Grout had to walk through the forest to the center of it to find Nash, all while taking constant damage. His eyes were bleeding, his nose were bleeding, his ears were bleeding by the time that he made it to Nash. But he did. And they engaged in an intense battle that destroyed part of Nash's force. But in the end, Grout ended up making the killing blow. But activating that killing blow triggered a curse that Nash had been casting the whole time because he knew what Grout was about. And upon the curse activating and laying siege upon Grout's mind,